Maseches Horayos Daf Yud Amud Beis, but we are still on Yud Amud Aleph. Yud Amud Aleph. Yud Amud Aleph. We are recorded. Thank you. So we are Tonu Abonon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 lines from the bottom of the page. Yud Amud Beis. Maseches Horayos. We are starting, Emir Hashem, an amazing Amud full of Aggadic, Musar, inspirational things. Who would ever forget? The Ilon Ishmas, my father of Yomi, Menachem and Akiva, Uz Bas Shalom, Sor Bas Moshe, Tono Abonon. Line starts with Ruchois, and we are Tono Abonon. Tono Abonon. Asher Nosi Echto. Yeah, it says when a Nosi, which means a Melech, would sin. But if he is sick, if he's ill, then he's not considered a melech, and we say that he does not bring the korban of the melech, but a regular korban of Joe Shmo, the regular shepsele, female, and not the male brought by a kohen. Just because he's sick, because of that, we say that he's rejected. He's thrown off the throne, and he's not a melech anymore. Is that so? The guy had a headache for a few days. So does that mean that he's not a melech anymore? What's going on over here? He had fever. He's not a melech. Please be compassionate. Amar Rav Avdimi Bar Chama. Rav Avdimi Bar Chama says, "Prat lenosi shenitztarea." Tzaras is a different story. If the melech is a mitzoiro, which has a strong spiritual message in it, so if he's a Metzora, then he's not a king anymore, as long as he's Metzora, is nisht ka king, and somebody else has to be the Melech. Shenemar, as we saw a few times before, about Uziyahu. Uziyahu wanted to overstep the boundaries, and what did he do? He wanted to be a Kohen. He started bringing a korban. He's not a Kohen, he's a Melech. He's a Melech. And what happened to him? V'yenagah Hashem es Melech. The Hashem basically brought Negoim, which are basically struck him with tzaras, with a nega. He was metzora till the day of his death. He sat, where did he live? In a free house, in a house of holiday. Some Mefarshim in the Novi actually explained that he had like a holiday house. Like kings today, they have a holiday palace. So that's where he was. But, he was not officiating as a king. The Yoisam ben Amelech, who was there instead of him, the prince, Yoisam, the son, the Ben Amelech, the prince, Alabais, he was in charge of the house. Mideka'oma, now the Gemara makes a drosha. Mideka'oma bebeis hachofshis, since it says that he was bebeis hachofshis. First of all, by the way, before we continue, the Rashi points out that this is not like the opinion we saw before. Remember, there was an opinion, Rabbi Yosef Glili, he said that once the Melech is in Beis HaChovshis, even though he's already not a Melech, he still gives a korban of a Melech. Why? Because he's rich. According to Rabbi Yosef Glili, it all has to do with money. Since his financial situation is as good as before, he still basically eats off the palatial funds. Therefore, he has to still bring a regular korban of a melech. Mashenk, in this opinion, holds otherwise. This Tana says no. Once he does not officiate as a king, as a melech, it's not to do with money. Maybe like Rabbi Akiva, like the other opinions. Mimela, he's off the throne, and he's not considered a melech, and his korban is a regular korban of a female sheep. I just said that. And yet it became a common person. Fine, good. Excellent, very good point. Very, very good point. Could be that he sinned when he was a melech by trying to be a kohen gadol, but that's not a korban chatas. We're talking about chatois. No. You're confusing two things. We're not learning from his story about his sin. We're learning a general concept that if a melech had tzaras, he's not a melech anymore. Beis HaChovshis means that he's free of being a melech. He's off duty. He puts a nice, note off. I'm off for life. As long as I'm a Metzora, he says, I am chofshi. I'm free of my duty, of my whatever, of my status as a king. That's all. We're not talking about his specific Aver, which by the way has nothing to do with us, because his Aver of bringing a korban is not Chatas, it's not a chorus, right? So these Averes we're talking about are only chorus slash Chatas. Now the Gemara starts with Aggadic. Midikama bebeisa chofshis, since it says that he was free of being a melech, what does that mean? You just spoke about an Eved prophetically. Michlal, line starts with Michlal. The Michlal, that is to say, the Adash, the Eved Hava, must be, we see from here that until then he was an Eved. You see, and this is the new topic of the Gemara, that a person who has authority and has the burden of the nation or the public on his shoulders, it's like being a slave. You're a slave to the public. Yeah, anybody who has high aspirations of becoming a choshuv, I don't know, prime minister or something, or I don't know, the mayor or a big rabbi, even a leader, community leader, it's a big headache. It's being a slave, as the Gemara is going to now detail and explain. Story time, story time. Kiyo, as in the following story. The Rabban Gamliel and Rabbi Yoshua, the two Heilige Tanoim, Rabban Gamliel and Rabbi Yoshua, were Azli Besfinta. They were in a boat, they were going in a boat, I would say in English, sailing in a boat. Now, what was the story? There was a long boat ride. They did not go on a cruise in the Caribbean. They went there for Parnosa, apparently. That's what it says later. They needed some Parnosa, even though they were Tanoim. How did Rabban Gamliel have a pita? Rabban Gamliel, the provisions he had with him were bread. He brought some bread with him for the way. They did not serve them a fancy dinner there. Rabbi Yeshua have a pita v'sulta. Rabbi Yeshua had more. He had pat, he had bread, and also he had soiles, which we know is fine flour. In other words, the pat, the bread, at some point, as we all know, goes bad, begins to rot. Mashenkin, the soilet, the kemach, the flour, is something that, that is, stays for longer. So basically, the idea was Rabbi Yeshua knew, or as we'll see later, he sort of suspected that the trip may take longer than expected, so he took extra provisions that don't go bad, no expiry date. Yeah, and lo and behold, that's what happened. Shalim Peter Rabban Gamliel. Rabban Gamliel only brought bread, and at some point the trip got longer, and his bread, he ran out of bread, was finished, ran out of it. So Machasul to Rabbi Yeshua, he had to rely on the silas, to rely on the flour of Rabbi Yeshua. And he approached him, Rabban Gamliel asked Rabbi Yeshua, wow, you are great. Omalei, mihavi yodat. Did you know that we're going to be mitakev, that we're going to have a longer trip? Yeah, we're going basically to be delayed on a longer trip. That you brought the flour with you? Yeah, why is that? How come? How did you know that the trip will be longer? Why? Then you brought more food and you happen to be right. Omalei, so Yeshua replied, and he said, there's one star, and here Rashi goes into a rather scientific explanation of how the sailors follow the northern star. Yeah, there's a certain star that they follow, and they see if it's to the right, to the left. The sailors look at the star, and they know that this star is, the way that that's their direction, that's the route. So now, however, there's another star that disturbs them. Once every 70 years, there is a star that goes up to Shamayim, and it misleads the sailors. Yeah, because they don't know if that's the right star or the wrong star. They think that star is a naughty star. Yeah, it looks like people follow it, but it doesn't show them the right direction. They think it's their star, but truly it's a different one, and somehow that makes them go the wrong way. By the way, I peeked into the art scroll, my good friend, and the art scroll said, and I remember now when I was a kid, there was a thing called Haley, right? There's a star called Haley, and it goes, it's a comet, Haley's comet, and that goes up to about 73 or 75 years. Once every 70 so years it goes up, and that's probably what we're talking about over here. The Amalti, and I thought to myself, I was playing it safe. Maybe we'll go up and will mislead us. So I played it safe and I said maybe Mr. Haley will now come to disturb us. The sailors will be, out of their devices, and I'm not gonna, and that's why I brought the other thing, more food. Omar Lei, Rabbi Gamliel was very impressed. Rabbi Gamliel replied and he said, wow, Kol kach biyodcho that oil basfina. There are two explanations here. I'm going now with Rashi and then with Tosfos Rosh. Says Rashi, you're such a genius. You're such a smart man. Yeah, you really have a lot of potential. So why do you go in the boat? Meaning, why do you need parnosa? Can't you find an easier parnosa, something in high tech or something, or get rabbanus, boirel, do something? Why do you have to go on a boat, misken, like to start looking for parnosa elsewhere when you're so intelligent? Yeah. Omar Lei, so Rabbi Yoshua replied, Ad shatatome olai, you wonder about me? You're asking this about me? Tema, you should wonder. Al shnei talmidim sheyesh lecha bayabosha. You have two talmidim, two disciples in the Yabosha, in the land, in Eretz Yisrael. Rabbi Elazar Chasma, Rabbi Yochanan ben Gudgada. These are two Tanoim, your Talmidim. Shiyoidin l'shar kama tipos yesh bayam. They can calculate, they can assume how many drops are there in the sea. They're such geniuses. And they're so poor, they're dirt poor, much worse than me. They don't have bread to eat and they don't have clothes to wear. No, so no, the Rabbi Yeshua was shocked with the story such big Talmidei Chachamim with zero parnosa. No, sandaito lo shivam barosh. So he said, okay, when I come back to Eretz Yisrael, I will be Moshe's barosh. I will make sure to give them a shtele, to give them some kind of rabbinical job, so they're able to make parnosa from it. This is Rashi. Excuse me. Who? The one who told him that the poor Talmidim is Rabbi Yoshua. Rabbi Gamliel said, Rabbi Gamliel is Onosi. Rabbi Gamliel said, okay, I will make sure to give them a good job within the Torah world, Barosh, like Rosh Yeshiva or something. Says the Tosfos Rosh has many questions here, and he explains otherwise. He explains no. The question that Rabbi Gamliel asked Rabbi Yoshua, first of all, the Tosfos Rosh says those who go in a boat for schor are not poor. The rich people, the soichrim, the merchants, people do import, export, can get very rich. So he says no. And he also asks the question, the Torah job doesn't bring a lot of money. Take it from me. Yeah, there is not, you're not exactly rich from a Torah job usually, unless you get some very cushy job to be the rabbi of some very rich community in ... Yeah, we're online. Okay, so explain the Tosfos Rosh differently. The question was, why do you, Rabbi Yoshua, you're so smart and you're aware of the danger, so why do you go on the boat? If you know that this can happen and mamish, this naughty star, maybe the Haley, can mamish turn us the other direction, why do you go on the boat? If you're aware of the danger, why are you here? Melas, ignorance is bliss. But why do you? So he said, you wonder about me? Good question. Look at my Talmidim. There are people who are very knowledgeable, and yet they're not successful. Not everyone that has the academic knowledge is somebody that is actually, can actually use it, in practice. So now he was so impressed that they're so smart, and nothing to do with their poverty. He was not trying to help them make money. He said they're so smart and so good in their field of Torah, and they're so intelligent in nature, and they know about the sea and the drops. Let's make them Rosh Yeshiva, because I was not aware that they're so great. That's all. Nothing to do with money over here. According to Tosfos Rosh, this whole conversation had zero to do with money. It had to do with intelligence. How much do you practice it and how much you don't in your life? Okay, the middle of the story, but I'm listening to a question now. Yes? Weiter. Let's continue. Last line of Yudah Amud Aleph Horayos. Sholach lahem, he sent Shola, when he went back to Eretz Yisrael, they finished the trip. Sholach lahem, he sent them, he summoned them in order to make them a Rosh Yeshiva. Veloibo, they didn't come, they did not want to assume that the authority, they were anovim, they were humble. Chazal v'sholach, he sent them again. Ubo, this time they came. They're not going to fight with an Ossi twice. Amar lehem, he told them, I know I didn't come. You're novim, tzaddikim, avrechim. You don't have the authority and the covet and the glory of Rosh Yeshiva. Kim dumin atem shisro ani noisen lochem. You think I'm giving you authority and glory? Sro? No. Avdus ani noisen lochem. I'm giving you slavery. If you'd be Rosh Yeshiva, you'd be slaves to the people. Sheneemar. As it says about Rechavam, we're going to explain soon what happened to Rechavam, the son of Shlomo. The son of Shlomo, Rechavam, when he became a king, he got advice from two groups of people. The elderly, the older people told him, be nice and patient and kind to your people, they're going to like you. And the young people said, no, you have to treat them like with shoitim and akravim, with whips and with scorpions. The younger ones would say, be a no-nonsense guy. So he followed the younger ones, and people hated him, and then he was thrown off the throne, and the whole story, Rechavam, Yerovam, then the kingdom split. Well, what did the older, wiser people tell? What did they tell Rechavam, the king? They told him as follows, if you'll be the slave to this people, to this nation, then they're going to like you. In other words, doesn't mean slave that he's belittling himself. A melech has to look good and assume authority and exude authority. But the melech should be very caring also and care about the people and be like an Eved in the sense that he's busy and occupied and preoccupied about people. And you know what, Ellen? Maybe that's exactly what Rabban Gamliel was saying. I'm just thinking of this Chiddush now. Maybe there was his own cheshbon and nefesh. He has Talmidim that are poor. He didn't realize it. Now he does realize it. And he says, look, I'm like an Eved. I have to make sure each and every one is happy. Right? A good rabbi calls all the sick people and all the Avelim and all the, I'm saying, like, it's on his head to really care about his congregation. And in a way, it's an avdus. It's very strong responsibility. That could be the story. Tanu Abanon, Yud Amud Beis, that's today's Amud, Yud Amud Beis, and we are in the two dots, the second line. Tanu Abanon, Asher Nosi Yechto. Before we continue, I'll say again what we said yesterday. When the Torah talks about chatos, it talks about 4 types of chatos. 4. Why 4? The Melech, who else? Mashiach or Mashiach. I'm not saying this by the right order, by the way, it doesn't matter. The Beis Din, of course, and common folk, the regular Joe Schmo, the regular guy down the lane, right? Now, in all of them, it says, im yechato, if they sin, if he sins. By the Nosi, the Melech, it says, asher Nosi yechto, which we said yesterday may mean he will, that will happen. And then the Gemara rejected it, and the Gemara said, no, it doesn't mean that. It's not a bad prophecy. But still, the word asher sticks out. Asher, instead of im, instead of if, does make sense. Why does it say it that way? It says the Gemara, Edrosha, Omar B'Yochanan ben Zakkai, Asher reminds us of Ashrei, Ashrei, the happy, the good. Ashrei Hador, Shanose Shalom Evikom and Al Shigigosoi. Happy is the generation, so good it is for the generation that the Nosi brings a korban for making a mistake. Meaning, if you have a melech that's willing to admit his mistakes and he doesn't think that he's Mr. Perfect, that's very good for you. That shows that the door is healthy. You have authority, it doesn't mean that you have to play God and assume, play it as if you're perfect. You have to admit your mistakes. Im Nosi Shaloi, and we continue. Im Nosi Shalom Evi Korban, if the Nosi, the highest one, brings a korban, would you have to think how would a hediot react? A regular person would for sure bring a korban. If the melech brings a korban, then other people are also aware, they're not scared to admit their mistakes. If he brings a mistake for what? He brings a korban for a mistake. So when it is mazid, when he's doing something, b'mazid, sin, chait, obviously, if he does it on purpose, of course he'll do tshuva. By the way, I'm happy that Rashi says over here, people keep asking me, what would be the kapar for a person who does mazid? He cannot bring a korban. Says Rashi, do tshuva. Tshuva. That's simple. Cry hard every day on Yom Kippur until you cleanse yourself. Read the whole of Shali Tshuva. If you do a chet, there's other things, being tzedakah, v'chulei, a lot of tzedakah, to which koilel. That's a matzav today, exactly. We don't have korbanos. What are we going to do? Tshuva, exactly. Nachon? But Rashi says that. In any event, we see that the word asher is an allusion to Ashrei. It's good that he admits his mistakes. He's not playing Mr. Ideal, Mr. Perfect, even with children. As much as parents have to be authoritative and be the authority in the house, not very easy today in 2021, but you should admit your mistakes sometimes to children. I don't know, I made a mistake. I'm rectifying the mistake. Now, Maskif Larova Breda Rabba. Rava, the son of Rabba, asks the question, Ela me'ata dichtiv, now that it says, according to your logic, that Asher is always Ashrei, something here doesn't make sense. Let's Google the word Asher in the Torah and the Tanakh. See what happens. It says in the Torah, Asher choto min hakodesh yishalem. It says a person who sinned, and what did he do? He embezzled and he took me'ilah from Beis Hamikdash. It says word Asher, that he was choite from Hekdesh, he should pay. Is that a good thing? It's a good thing. Asher is good. Is it good that he actually took money from Beis Hamikdash, used something in Beis Hamikdash? And another question, even stronger, Yerovam ben Nevat, the same Rehavam's enemy. Yerovam ben Nevat was one of the biggest three Rishonim in the world. He's one of the three kings that never made it to Olam Haba. Yerovam ben Nevat is one who started with the Zorah, Egel Azov, the whole thing. He put like a thing in the mouth of the Egel that it says Anochi Hashem, a USB, a kishuf. He was a terrible person. And look what it says about Yerovam. Dichtiv Bey, Asher Chotov, Asher Hechti. He said the word Asher. He sinned, and he caused the other to sin. Achinamid Asher Adoru. You want to tell me that Asher always means happy and good, and the generation is good and happy and dandy? Mapitom. So don't tell me Asher always means Ashrei. And says the Gemara, no. Shiny Hocha, over here it's different. The Shani Kro b'diburei. Here, it's not every time Asher means Ashrei. Asher means that. It means the English preposition that. The only reason why we say Asher means Ashrei here, because we have four different parshas, one next to the other, and by all of them it says Ve'im, im, and here it says Asher, it sticks out. The Torah changed the Lashon and says Asher instead of im, that sticks out. That's weird, that's strange. And that's calling us to what? To make some kind of drasha that Asher is Ashrei, because the Melech is willing to make a mistake, and he's like number one. He is the top person, therefore that's a chiddush that we're happy that the Melech admits his mistakes. And by the way, Yehuda, why did Yehuda and all his children gain Malchus, David, and the whole dynasty come from Yehuda? Because Yehuda admitted his mistakes. Right? More than once, right? Yehuda is the one who took responsibility. And with Tamar he said, Sot komimeni, out there, can you imagine a big Rav saying I was mezana kivyachol, whatever that means, with a girl? Unbelievable. And he admitted his mistake. Unbelievable. That because of that he became a king, not the other way around. Dorash, now more and more droshes about Tzadik Veraloi, Rosh B'Toivlo, a lot of nice things. Dorash Rav Nachman bar Rav Chisda. My dichtiv, what does it mean when it says in the Koheles, it says, I'm reading the whole pasuk over here. I'm quoting from Koheles. Yesh shevel shonasa la'oretz. Yeah, there's vanity in the land. Asher yesh tzadikim asher magielem k'maisa rishoim. Some tzadikim deserve and get and receive what the rishoim should get. V'yesh rishoim shemagielem k'maisa tzadikim. And the other way around, some Rishoim, they receive that which is deserved by the tzaddikim. Amati shegam zeh hevel. That is also vanity. What's going on over here? Says the Gemara. What does it mean? What does it mean? This kind of switching. Tzaddikim get what Rishoim supposed to get, and the other way around. Says the Gemara like this. Hashem letzadikim, it's good for the tzadikim, again, Ashrei. Ashreim letzadikim, how good it is for tzadikim, shemagia lehem k'maisa rishoim shel olam haba b'olam hazeh. The Rishoim's portion in olam haba is not exactly great. The Rishoim in olam haba are not going to enjoy themselves, right? I don't think all these people in olam haba, to say the least, have yisurim in olam haba. If the tzaddikim get the portion of Olam above the Rishoim in Olam Hazeh, it means that tzaddikim suffer in Olam Hazeh, and that's good for them to suffer. Why? Because they obviously are getting the tsar in Olam Hazeh in order to get tremendous, amazing, superstar sachar, yeah, and good things in Olam Haba. Very good. And Olam Rishoim, woe to them to the Rishoim, because there it doesn't say Asher, but the Rishoim doesn't say Asher. Olam l'Rishoim shemagia lemikamaisa tzadikim shel olam haba. Oh, woe to them! How terrible it is for Rishoim. They get what the tzadikim will get in olam haba, b'olam hazeh. And Rasha will tell you, I live paradise. I live like in paradise. I'm in the Garden of Eden. big house, fancy, everything, money, health, pleasures all the time, chutznar, it's all the time, they're having fun. And what? They're getting in a kind of a fictitious kind of olam haba in olam hazeh. Sad for them, because a little bit of schar that they deserve, and everyone gets some kind of schar, they get here. And in olam haba, they're going to meet a very, very black, dead end kind of place. Omarova. So in other words, it sounds like it's either or. Yeah, it's either olam haba or olam hazeh. Omarova. Now Rava challenges that, and Rava says, "Atu tzadiki." Is it so that the tzaddikim mi'achli trei almi misanilu? Is it bad for the tzaddikim if they enjoy both worlds? Can't they get it in both worlds? Misanilu as like hated or bad? Is it bad for the tzaddikim in olam hazeh and olam haba if they enjoy themselves in both worlds? Why not? And Rava says, yes, you can enjoy yourself in both worlds. Wow. Elo Rava says Rava a different interpretation to the pasuk. Hashem letzadikim, how good it is for the tzadikim, shemegia lem k'maiser reshoim shel olam hazeh ba'olam hazeh, which means reshoim in olam hazeh enjoy themselves normally. Why? It says in the pasuk. It says mishalem schar, yeah. Mishalem nu al pneim la'avido. You don't have the pasuk, yeah. Mishalem the son of al pon of la'avidom, which means Hashem pays the reshoim in olam hazeh. In order to good, he pays them in cash now. They enjoy themselves because Hashem says in Olam Haba you're going to come with a terrible overdraft. Yeah? And therefore, if they're showing in they what they get in Olam Hazeh, if they get K'mais Hashem Shel Olam Hazeh, the Olam Hazeh, then it's good. Since they're showing enjoy themselves in Olam Hazeh, if the tzaddik gets sachar of olam hazeh and olam hazeh, good for him. And he doesn't contradict the fact he'll get in olam haba also. He can get both worlds. He's enjoying himself wickedly. Wicked, they say, oh, that's wicked. In other words, amazing olam hazeh and olam haba. He gets olam hazeh like a rosha, as if it was a rosha, meaning good in olam hazeh. It's an olam haba, because the pasuk is not talking about olam haba. And on the other hand, Olam le'Rashoim, how terrible it is for Rashoim, shemegia lem k'maiser tzadikim shel olam hazeh ba'olam hazeh. How terrible it is for the Rashoim who in olam hazeh get the same treatment that the tzadikim should get in olam hazeh, which is naturally bad for the tzadikim. Stamazo, a tzadik doesn't enjoy himself in olam hazeh that much anyways. A tzadik is not an olam hazeh person. Ask a Godel B'Yisrael, does he want to cruise with 5-course dinner? Doesn't care about it. It doesn't talk to him. A movie, these things Bechlal don't apply to him. Spa, swimming pool, he doesn't care. So Mimela, the tzaddik, so there's Rasha, who's treated as if he would tzaddik in Olam Hazeh, means he gets bad. He's not enjoying himself in Olam Hazeh, and being a Rasha in Olam Haba, it's not going to get better. Misken. This Rasha gets it bad in both worlds. He's getting it bad in this world and in the world to come. And that's, according to Rava, that's a message. It's not either or, it's both. And a story to reinforce what we're saying, Rav Papa and Ravuna Bred Rav Yoshua. Rav Papa and Ravuna Bred Rav Yoshua also Lakamei de Rava. They came in front of Rava. The art scroll says they came to learn Torah by Rava. Omar Lehu, so he tested them and he asked them, Ukimtu in Masechta Plan, did you learn this Masechta, the other Masechta? Do you have some, for hair, a test? Do you have some basic knowledge, more than basic? Ukimtun, yesh lachem. Do you have it in your hands? Do you really know, as we say in the yeshiva, it's cold? Do you really know it's cold? Do you really know well this Masechta and the other? Omer le'in? Yes, Baruch Hashem, we do. And apparently they were tested and they knew their stuff. And then he's asking them, Itaritu Purta? Did you become a little bit rich? Are you somewhat rich? Meaning, can you manage to learn in yeshiva because you have some kind of side parnosa? Do you have another source of parnosa? I guess the wives didn't work back then. Yeah, the yeshiva didn't pay money, so they have some kind of source of income. Yes, we do. How come? The Zabna and Ktina de Ara, we bought a small piece of land, each one, and we have parnosa of this piece of land. They rent it out. Maybe they have somebody who works the field for them, who tills the earth. So we have some kind of parnosa. So amazing. So the Talmidei Chachamim, and they're okay with parnosa. Kalya Layu. Aha, Rava found his perfect example for his idea. He called upon them, Ashrem letzadikim, shemegia lem k'maiser hashem shebe'olam hazeh. How good it is for tzadikim who get the sachar of Rishonim in Olam Hazeh, meaning money. They have stable, some stable income, like a Rosho that has a stable income and doesn't have to run around from Gmach to Gmach, and they're also like that, and they get this Schar in Olam Hazeh, and it does not mean they'll get less in Olam Haba because they also learn Torah and they know a lot of Maseches and they're coming to learn even more. Perfect. Omar Rabbe, first wide line. Omar Rabbe Bar Chana Omar B'Yochanan. My dichtiv. What does it mean? Now comes a new issue, a new topic. It says in the Pasuk, Ki Yeshorim Darkei Hashem. The ways of Hashem are just. Yeah, Yeshorim Darkei Hashem. V'tzadikim Yelchu Bom. Tzadikim will follow those ways. I'm looking, where is this Pasuk? In Hoshaya, I think. Where's the Pasuk? This Pasuk is in Hoshaya? Hoshea, I mean, there's no Hoshaya. Yeah, Yishaya Hoshea, I meant Hoshea. Yeah, Tzadikim, Darkei Hashem, the ways of Hashem are just, Yishorim, but Tzadikim Yelchubam, the Tzadikim follow the path of Hashem, the right way, they walk in the path of Hashem, Upoishim Ikashlubam. Poshea here means a rebel. Poshea regarding Hashem doesn't mean somebody who's neglectful, it means Poshea B'chavano, like in modern Hebrew, Poshea is a criminal. So Poishim, those who rebel against Hashem, they will stumble upon the way of Hashem. The actual mitzvah, the actual Torah itself will be a stumbling stone for those who are rebelling against Hashem. And now we're going to give three different examples with disagreements. Moshe l'shnei b'nei Odom. Moshe l'shnei b'nei Odom. Yeah, Moshe l'shnei b'nei. So now, Moshe l'shnei b'nei Odom, second line. There's a moshel, a story, a fable, a parable. Two people, shetzolu pischeihem. Two people are tzoyle Pesach, the mikayim mitzvah d'oraisa, the roast the korban Pesach in order to eat it. Echad the chol shu mitzvah. One of them ate it with all the heilige kavanos. He eats it for mitzvah. He wants to be mikayim mitzvah. The other one ate it. That's a nice steak over here. That's a nice roast and a sado. And he eats it just for fun. Achilagasa says Rashi for kinuach, as if he's eating dessert, ice cream. That's nice meat. That's all he thinks about. Thank you very, very, very much. The one who ate it with the right idea in mind, he actually wants to be Mekayim mitzvah of Pesach. That's a tzaddik who walks in the path of Hashem. When you walk somewhere, you get somewhere, right? You'll get to Olam Haba, to Kirvas Elokim. But the one who's, missing the boat, he's just eating such a heilige thing, just like a steak he's eating in a restaurant in Yerushalayim. He's a posher, he's a rebel who's stumbling in the actual ways of Hashem. You're taking the mitzvah and you're downgrading it to be just like a steak party with your folks in the bar, in the steakhouse. What a miss. You're missing such a great opportunity. So that's what it means. However, okay, Rish Lakish says a reservation about it. Rish Lakish says no. He says Rosha Korislei. Rosha Korislei. You call him a Rosha? He's a Rosha. Nehidelo Avid Mitzvah min HaMuvchar. He did not do the most Muvchar Mehuder Dika Mitzvah. He did not do the most select mitzvah the best way possible. He doesn't have a 5-star mitzvah. But Pesach Miloi Kochil, he ate Pesach. This is a frum guy who knows he's doing Achilas Pesach. And if you ask him, what are you doing now, Mr. Someone? He'd say, I'm eating Pesach, and it's so delicious. He's like a low-level person. He's not the most spiritually connected person aware. He's not a Rosha. He's not a Posher. So why are you, labeling him that way? Ella. Therefore, Rish Lakish wants to give us another example, another application of this stumbling versus walking. Mashal Lishnei Bnei Odom. A mashal regarding two people. One of them is in a dark house. There's a power cut, or before electricity, before Thomas Edison, and he has two women with him in the house, and they look more or less the same, his wife and his sister. The other one also, the other one also has his wife, small house, no light, The other one also has his wife and his sister at home with him. Echad, and they both have relations with someone. Echad nizdamna lo ishto. One of them, the one that he has relation with mizdamen, he happened upon, the one that happened to be with him in bed, is his wife. And that's good. Tzaddik, mitzvah, oino, puvu, it's a mitzvah. The echad, the other one is damna lo choisoi. The other one, by chance, not such a good chance, I don't know what the sister thought, that's a good question, but he happened having relations with his sister, which is not exactly great shakes. Zeshin is damna lo ishtoi, the one who happened without even knowing, happened to be with his wife, tzaddikim yelchubam. He's a tzaddik, and because he's a tzaddik, he has good, standing account with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu did not cause him or help him sin. He walks the ways of Hashem, so even in a time of confusion, whatever happens there, I don't know, he ends up doing a mitzvah. Possession is damna lo choisoi. The one who, even if it's pure mistake, happens to be by mistake with his sister, probably this person is not the biggest tzaddik, and that's why that was caused. Tzaddikim and HaKadosh Baruch Hu zamet takol al yodom, it says. So that's why he's a posher who's stumbling in the ways of Hashem, because maybe he meant to be with his wife, which is a mitzvah, but he's nichshal in the way of Hashem. He's failing. To fail is nichshal in Hebrew. And he happened to be with a very ugly thing with his sister. I think, if I'm not mistaken, even today's crazy world, it's not so accepted brother and sister together, although I don't know anymore. Not yet. That will be the next parade. In 5 years, that will be the next thing. In America, Frag the Gemara, midami. That sounds nice, or maybe not so nice, but midami, that's not a good explanation, says the Gemara, for the pasuk. Why? Anan, what we say in this pasuk, kaminan chadaderech. We're talking about two people doing the same. It's the same path, the very, very same path of Hashem, the one derech, v'hocha shnei drochim. This is a story about two different people with two different actions. One of them lives in, X, one city with his wife. The other one is a different place with his sister. It's true that both have relations, but it's not the same maisa with two kavanos. It's not like this, it's not exactly. We're looking for even more similar case. Excuse me? Two people, I know. Now, of course, there's a lot of similarities, but not as similar as the next one. It's similar, but now I'll tell you what I would say. Let's say two people having relations, and each one has different ideas in mind. Oh, that's the same. Let's say he thinks of one thing, and she thinks of another thing. Each one with a different kavanah. As the Gemara is going to say, it's mamish the same action, mamish together, the most together you can be, and two things in mind. And I'm sure these things happen. Look what the Gemara says about Loth. Are you aware of this biblical story of Loth? And how do you say it in English? I should know how to say it. Loit. Ela Moshel Lelot Veshtei Benoisov. We all know the story of Loit and his two daughters, and they both have two ideas in mind. And the girls, Sheniskam L'Shem Mitzvah, they really meant well. Those girls were narrow-minded. They thought the entire world came to an end because Sodom came to an end, and that's it. So they wanted to read the first on the pasuk. Let's continue humanity. That's all they wanted. Tzaddikim Yechubam, they were tzidkonius. They were tzidkonius. The very, very famous story. There was a darshan who spoke against the Brois Loit in a drosha, and then two ladies dressed in black came to him in a dream, and they screamed at him. They said, "We are Brois Loit. Don't talk against us. We're tzidkonius. Who do you think you are to talk against us?" I don't begin to think of the terrible oynish, those who talk against the Ovis HaKadoshim, all the more so, the Ovis HaKadoshim. And there are Orthodox rabbis who do that too, my friend. Don't worry, there are. Yes. Yel Chubam. So they meant well. They're tzidkonios. They did the wrong thing, but they meant well. Who? Sheniskam L'Shem Avera. Loit wanted Avera. He wanted to have fun. He's a pasher, he's a rebel who actually stumbled upon the way of Hashem because he actually meant he wanted to have fun. Nobody else was around, and they were available. His own daughters, Rahman al-Itzlan. Hey, who told you Lloyd was such a bad guy? How do you know? Are you a mind reader? How do you know that Lloyd meant to do an Avera? Maybe Lloyd also meant mitzvah. Maybe Lloyd also thought that the world came to an end and he wanted to be Mekayim Zera and continue the human race. No. Rabbi Yochanan says Lloyd has and all the count. Rabbi Yochanan is going now to quote a pasuk and dissect the pasuk to small pieces. This pasuk describes, the pasuk we're about to read, describes the departure of Lot from Avram. So to avoid question which you may ask, I know you guys already, Baruch Hashem, it's true that Avram Avinu is the one who initiated the break. That's true. However, he told Lot to go wherever you want. Lot could have stayed, a few kilometers away, and there wouldn't be a technical issue of fighting over the land, and that's it. Where did Lot decide to go once he sort of divorced Avram? To Sodom, the worst place possible. Yeah, let's say somebody says, Khalila, you have to leave the neighborhood because you're such a bad chashom. I'm not saying a bad guy. So if he moves from Aleph to Ramah Gimel, go another from neighborhood. If he moves to, I don't know where, some Sin City, he moves to San Francisco, why did he have to move all the way there, There's moving and there's moving. So the fact that Lot moved to Sodom, that shows that his choice is not exactly spiritual. The divorce was more than just, moving house. He moved to a whole different kind of hashkafa, as the Gemara is going to actually detail very much from every word of the pasuk. Question mark. Very good. This is staying online. Your question is very good. Like it, and I'm going to get a like in YouTube. And Jeffrey saying like this. First of all, it didn't occur to me, Goinish. Lloyd could have said, no, I'm staying. Wasn't Ruth, she's going to be the star of the show, and she was, right? Naomi said, go again and again and again. And Ruth Dovkabo, she clung to her, right? Lloyd, by the way, was Lloyd's problem. It started with him. Lloyd, because his, excuse my language, stupid, what's her names? Yeah, the shepherds. That did not muzzle the mouths of the animals. Lot could have said, I'm Chayzer B'tshuva. I want to be like Avram, stay with Avram, and muzzle the animals and stop, stealing from people. Very good. And yes, stay with Avram. Avram would have welcomed him. Avram was the epitome of chesed. If Lot so quickly moved away into such a terrible place, that shows Lot, with all the respect, there's pluses and minuses with him. Wasn't the world's biggest tzaddik if he goes to live in Sodom just by, Avram Avinu saying half a sentence. So that, very good, I like it. Why? Why didn't he want him with him?
Because he looked so much like him.
And he was bad. But if he's Chayzer B'tshuva, then who cares who looks like him?
He didn't want him with him. He wanted to go away. He didn't want him with him. Right. He knew he was a Russia. He didn't want him with him. So he had to go.
We just answered this question. Okay. Let's read the pasuk to do with Lot, and then the Gemara will explain what this pasuk does not show him in the best of light. I'm reading the pasuk inside the whole pasuk. Vayisa Lot Eseinov, Lot lifted his eyes, lifted his gaze. Vayaris kol kikar Yarden, he saw the entire area of 5 cities of the Yarden, that plain of the Yarden. Kikula mashke, it was all very fertile, all watery in the sense that it was well watered, it was irrigated very well. Lifnei shachas Hashem es domes amoiro. Before Hashem, the pasuk telling us sarcastically that would look very nice over there. Before Hashem destroyed the whole place, Kigan Hashem ki Eretz Mitzrayim b'Chatzor, was so good, like the garden of Hashem, like Eretz Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim was a very nice irrigated place with the Nile. Lot looked there and he saw with his eyes this very beautiful place, and he wanted to live there. If you just read the pasuk, you think, you just wanted to be in a wealthy place. But look what Rabbi Yochanan is doing with this pasuk. Omer Rabbi Yochanan, line starts with the word poishim, but we are now in Omer Rabbi Yochanan. Omer Rabbi Yochanan, kol ha-pasuk hazel Hashem avera ne'emar. This entire pasuk has to do with averas of carnal pleasures. It wasn't just money he was looking for his news. Nema, Vayisa Loit. Let's start breaking the pasuk into pieces, as the Gemara does. Vayisa Loit lifted his eyes. That's comparable to Vatisa Eshes Adona V'Seineo, comparable to Potiphar's wife, who lifted her eyes and looked at Yosef. What she wanted to do with Yosef was not exactly to study Mesil Yisharim B'Chavrusa. That yes, no, that's not what you wanted. Yes, okay, that's much more. What she did, yeah. L'shem shamayim. No, no, בסדר. Okay, l'shem shamayim. Okay, such l'shem shamayim. What sorry? בסדר. It's some people do a lot of things l'shem shamayim. Es Einov. Thank you for the Gavschus. Es Einov. We continue reading the pasuk. He lifted his eyes. That's comparable to V'yomel Shimshon. Shimshon told his parents, "Oiso kachli, I want this woman. Ki hi yashor beinai. She is good in my eyes." And Shimshon, unfortunately, was a tzaddik. He had one problem. He did not have, for his level, Shmira Seinaim. That's what at the end of his life, that pokes his eyes. Lo leinu. Vayar. We're continuing to read Loit's pasuk. You saw it says Vayar Oitzo Shchem ben Chamor. Vayar. Shchem ben Chamor saw Dina. Again, no Shara Tshuva there. He raped her basically, right? And he kept her, held her. Nice guy. Not exactly Shara Tshuva, no, right? And then it's called Kikar HaYarden. We see a very interesting word Kikar, which may mean a plain, an area. And then it says also another comparable pasuk, Ki be'ad isha zoino, a person who runs after a zoino, then he gets very poor. It says many places, ad Kikar lechem. At the end of the day, I guess he pays her a lot of money, I don't know. So at the end of the day, or Hashem makes him poor also, at the end of the day, he will not even have a kikar, a loaf. Kikar also means loaf. A loaf of bread, kikar, gzer shavo, kikula mashke. Now we finish the pasuk. Kikula mashke, the word mashke, which is to irrigate, but also means to drink or a drink. It says about Knesset Israel, who behaves like an unfaithful wife that has many lovers. Elcha achre me'ahavai. I should follow the path of my lovers, because what? They give me what I want. Noisne lachmi umeimi. They give me bread and water. Tzimri upishti. They give me wool and linen. Shamni, my oil. Shikuyai, my potions. Yeah. So they give me mashke or alcohol. Mashke. You see the what? You see that at the end of the day, all these words regarding Lloyd have to do with one specific type. He had keyhole vision. That's what he wanted. He wanted money and women. Yeah, sounds like today a lot of people, and that's what he wanted. That's what he went after. So now, when he went with his girls, he followed along. I don't think he's such a tzaddik, so I assume he meant that. But now comes a big question. Even if you say that it was not a tzaddik and it was bad, Frank the Gemara asks the question, the Meinas Anis, he was forced because he was asleep. Read the Bible, Old Testament. What does it say there? That he was asleep because he gave him wine. What did you say? Wine, women, and money, whatever. Very good. The wine. Now came the wine. It says, Shikol Kaloit. When he went, song, wine, and women. Okay, I'm not so proficient in these things. I don't know why. Yeah, but what? We say, very good. What's Shikol Kalot? As drunk as Lot. We say in Hebrew, even Chilnim know this word. Because somebody very drunk in a very despicable way is like, look what happened. He drank and look what happened. But still, it was oinus. Why are you saying it? Kavon. He was asleep. He somehow functioned, but he was very grudgy. He didn't know what's happening. He didn't know. That's the answer. Answers the Gemara. Read Rashi. Tana Mishum Rabbi Choini. Now comes the explanation. Yeah, we say on behalf of Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Choini, Lama nokud al vav shebekuma shel bechira. If you read the pasuk inside and you have a good chumash, it says there lo yoda b'shochba u vekuma. When the older girls in the first night, when she was with him, lo yoda b'shichba, he did not know when she started the act, when she lied next to him, and bekuma, and when she got up. But the word bekuma has a dot on the vav. Whenever the Torah has the dot on the word, it's like it's telling me that this is like some kind of red herring, that the word doesn't exactly mean what it says. What does it say? Lomer lecho, to tell you what's the caveat over here. Shebeshachba lo yoda. When she came to bed or wherever, he did not know. Aval bekuma yoda. When she got up at the end of the Maisa, he was aware. At some point, towards the end, he figured out what's going on with this whole Maisa. Frag the Gemara, very good. I know what you're about to say. You learn your Chumash Rashi very well. Frag the Gemara, umay havel lemebad. So what are you to do? My davava. Well, it's the end of the Maisa. She's already pregnant. What are you to do? And says the Gemara of Kamina de Lepania Achrina. The other night, the next evening, Loi Baila Lamishi, shouldn't have drunk. The first night you saw your daughter gives you surprisingly all of a sudden wine, which, what does Rashi say? It was a miracle. In the middle of a cave, they found a bottle of wine. Yeah, how did it happen? The Chavano, to be Mekayim Shnei Umos. Amud Hashem Dafka was mamsik. Exactly. Hashem put it there, made it happen. But the first night you see your daughter did this to you and it ended up with a very ugly incest, right? So the second night, why are you drinking? Don't you realize it's a repetition? It's a rerun of yesterday's show. And so why are you drinking? So don't tell me you're such a tomim. He knew very well what's going to happen, or at least it's a high risk it's going to happen. And he drank very nicely, very nicely. He drank it, yeah, without any hesitation. That is to say that Lloyd did not have good kavanas. He has already a bad record. Plus the fact he knows pretty well what's going on, and he did it. And he did not have any good kavanas. So that's the thing. So that's a maskana. They're like the tzidkanias, and he's the Rosh from the same Maaseh. We have to finish now. More Aggadic tomorrow, Eretz Hashem, on similar topics. And in Eretz Hashem tomorrow we're going to see the Gro. Also Eretz Hashem tomorrow's Thursday. Have a great day. Thank you very, very much. Question time.